Hey there, it's Tresa here. Welcome to my Frugal from Scratch YouTube channel. I am so glad you're here. If you're new, welcome. And if you're back for more, I'm so glad that you're watching my videos. I have been getting such a great response and I am just so pleased. I'm really just sharing from my kitchen what I do for healthy eating. And I am doing some Italian meals right now. If you haven't watched the video where I made the homemade ricotta cheese and the tomato sauce, you're going to want to go back and watch that because I'm going to use those in what I'm making today. So I have an eggplant, and I love eggplant a million different ways. I love eggplant. But today I'm going to make an eggplant rollatini. So it starts with getting the eggplant roasted. And so what I'm going to do is, I'm just taking the stem off. I'm actually going to leave the skin on for this. Some people like to peel it, and I do peel it often, but I'm going to leave it on in this case because I'm going to roast the eggplant. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually slice it the long way. And so I'm going to make slices as thin as I can. You could use a mandolin for this if you had one and you wanted to, which I could pull that out if I wanted to do that. But I'm really just gonna go at it slowly. I like to make the slices fairly thin, and I'm gonna roast them just on a sheet pan with some olive oil and some seasoning, and then I will roll them up with the ricotta cheese and put some of that tomato sauce on top and put them back in the oven. And I'm going to show you all the steps. If you get some pieces that are a little thin, smaller, whatever, you still can roast them and you can either eat them or you can just add them to one of the rolls. It's not rocket science. It's not going to be perfect. This top part is a little bit tougher, so I just pulled a little more of that off as I'm slicing it up. Another way that I love to make eggplant is to just do eggplant parmesan. Now, a lot of people bread their eggplant. That's not how I grew up having it. My mother made the most delicious eggplant parm, and really all she did was she floured it, she egged it, she would slice it the other way so that they were rounds, and she would flour, egg, and she'd season the flour and she'd season the eggs with, salt and pepper, parsley, if you want to add some Italian seasonings, whatever. And then she would layer it in a pan with some tomato sauce, and she would put a little bit of grated Pecorino Romano, Parmesan, or a combination of those on top. And that was how we had eggplant parm. I love it in a sandwich. I love it just like that. It's absolutely delicious. Other ways you can make eggplant is you could do a lasagna. I would cook the eggplant first. You can either do it like the parm slices, or you could do it like this, or rounds, and roast them and layer those in your lasagna. You can layer zucchini in lasagna. You can also cube up eggplant and make like a ratatouille kind of dish with eggplant and other vegetables. There's just so many ways that you can make eggplant, and I just love it. I think it's just one of my favorite vegetables, and I happened to find some at the store, and I was like, oh, I love eggplant. I'm gonna give it a try. So I'm getting down to the end, so it's a little tricky because it's not really standing up anymore, and some of the slices are going to be smaller, but they're still going to work for what I'm going to do, because it's, to me, cooking is more about the way it tastes and how good it is for you than the way it looks. So of course you want it to look pretty, but you can make it look pretty. It just doesn't have to be perfect. So every slice is not going to be the same, and that is perfectly fine. So I'm still working in a little bit of a smaller space here. So I have some olive oil, and I'm just gonna brush that on this sheet pan. And then I'm gonna get the eggplant on here. So I'm just going to spread it on the pan, and it is not all gonna fit. I may have to grab another pan, or I may do it in batches. I will squeeze as much as I can in at a time, and but you really do want to give it the room to and there's still olive oil on the brush, so I'm just going to brush the top with the rest of the olive oil. Maybe add a tiny bit more. It's just going to help it to roast up nicely. And I'm just going to really add a little bit of salt, just some pink salt to it for right now, because I'm going to season it more with the sauce and all the other things that I'm doing. So I'm going to pop this into an oven at about 400. It'll probably only take about 10 minutes or so. I'm going to get it all roasted up, and then I'll come back and show you how I'm going to put it together. So my eggplant roasted up beautifully. You can see that. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make some rolatinis. So I'm probably not going to use all of it. And I have the ragout that I made. If you saw my video, you saw this delicious ragout that I made. And it's a really simple process. So I did end up, when I flipped the eggplant, I ended up adding a little bit of garlic powder and some Italian seasonings. And they're seasoning in the sauce. So what I'm going to do, and I'm just going to move some of these out of the way. I'm going to take an eggplant, and I'm going to take some of the ricotta cheese, and I'm going to use my fingers for this. The ricotta cheese is really cold, and I'm just going to put that on part of the eggplant, if you can see that, and then I'm going to roll it up, hence rollatini. And then I'm going to pop it into this pan. Nothing fancy. I'm going to do several of those. And it's not an exact science. You can use as much or as little of the ricotta cheese as you want in there. But I like to put it on about half, so then I get a good roll and it tucks and it stays put when you're going to bake it. Because if you spread it on the whole thing, then you're going to kind of make a mess. So I'm going to do that and just keep rolling them up. And then I'm going to throw some sauce on top and get it baked in the oven. So let's see, there's a smaller one. So we'll use a little bit less cheese on that. And yeah, we'll just keep rolling them up. And I'm just getting my hands in this. My hands are clean, obviously. And it's almost just easier to get your hands in and do it with your hands. So let's see. There's a nice little piece. You know, some of them are going to be, maybe some might be cheesier than others, but it's all good. It's really however you like it. And yep, so I'm just gonna keep rolling it up. There's so many other things I was thinking about that I could do with the ragout. All right, let's do one more small one. You can make desserts with it. I mean, they use ricotta cheese and cannoli fillings, and there's so many delicious things that you can do with it. All right, so this pan is almost full, right? So what I'm gonna do now is very simply just take some of this sauce that I made and drizzle it over top. As much or as little as you like. Some people like a lot of sauce, some people like a little. And then I've got some freshly grated, it's a combination of Pecorino Romano and Parmesan cheeses. I like to freshly grate it. I'll get like a hunk of the really good cheese that comes from Italy. The thing too is if you buy already grated cheeses, a lot of them have preservatives and stuff in them to help keep them from clumping. But I just love to do it. So not too heavy on the cheese. You could add mozzarella if you wanted to go cheesier, but with the ricotta inside, I really like to just taste the flavor of that. So I put those on. I'm going to pop this in the oven for probably about 15 minutes and let it heat through. You're not really cooking it anymore, so you're just going to heat it through. Eggplant is out of the oven. It looks so good. So yummy. So you really are just heating this through because the sauce and the ricotta cheese were cold and I had let the eggplant cool. So I just put everything together cold, and then you just really want to heat it through. So it doesn't need a long time in there. I think I left it in for 15 or 20 minutes at 350 and it heated through. If you have a larger pan, you may have to leave it in a little bit longer. But really, you want to make sure it's heated through and your cheeses on the top and inside start to melt and get really gooey and delicious. And then you just enjoy it. So delicious. So very good. Thank you so much for being here with me. I'm so blessed to have you here. Remember, healthy can be simple, whether it's Italian cooking or making dinner for your family or baking or anything. God gave us everything we need, and we want to get back to the basics, to the food that God gave us, and make as much as we can from scratch. It's simple, it's easy, and I'm going to keep sharing recipes with you. And I'm so glad that you're here, and I hope that you try this. If you do, let me know how it is. And I think I said this in the beginning, but you could do this with zucchini too. If you cut zucchini long way and you rolled it up, you could do it with that as well. I just love eggplant, and this really hit the spot for me today. God bless you, and thanks so much for joining. Be sure to hit the subscribe button so that you get notifications when I put out some more videos. And thanks for being here.